Connecting up. Two online. You always know there's a third. There's always a third. That third is always Twitch. Always takes too long. Come on, Twitch. You can do it. I know you can. And you've done it before. You've been there in the past. There's Alex. Good morning, Alex. Happy Wednesday, hump day. If Geico hasn't ruined hump day for everyone, I don't know who has. Our illy coffee this morning is from Cowboy Bebop. If you're into anime, you probably know who Cowboy Bebop is. Wondering, I'm thinking about illy coffee. I'm thinking, do I want to keep on with illy coffee, or am I going a different direction? I don't know. I like illy coffee. I really do. I like illy. How about we stop the music? Stop music. Oh, that's not it. Which the heck one is playing? There we go. I think we got it. I think we've killed the music now. Ralph, good morning. And Kevin, good morning to you too. So the question is, of course, it's Wednesday, so we've hoisted the pirate colors. We've got our pirate shirt on of the day, Jolly Roger. Obviously, it's in question whether it was really used a lot of places. So, live action coming soon. Yeah, live action coming this morning. Obviously tomorrow, Ralph. I don't know if hopefully you're going to be there. I know we had to move it to Thursday because of some hijinks with St. Louis University, but move trivia night till tomorrow, till tomorrow. But I was thinking about the illy coffee. Do I stay with illy or do I go with another company? And I know I just like illy coffee. The wife likes illy coffee, so it makes one coffee to rule them all. But I used to drink Black Rifle coffee, and if any of you guys have been around Black Rifle coffee, they're pretty dang good coffee too. So I'm up in the air. I'm torn on the coffee scene. Which one to go with? So right now I'm staying with illy because I got a bunch of illy. We give illy away as well. There's Paul. Good morning, Paul. It's good to see everyone early in the morning. We got a lot. Well, we've got a little bit to cover. We got some stuff to cover. Ralph, your stuff. We closed in and we found more information about Garmin. We'll talk about Garmin. We'll talk about the GOP, the Senate package for the second round of stimulus and what it does for my favorite organization, CISA. Netflix is in the news, not because of what Netflix did, because Netflix is a target. The Pentagon, we're going to talk about the Pentagon and what they're doing for cyber. And you guys got a lot going on this morning. Alex got a good question. Bravo will be playing trivia. Now that both John and Ralph are gunning for him. Got it. Got to zero in. I don't know. I don't think Mike's on this morning. I know he's got a lot of times he's got issues in the morning. Hopefully John. I was kind of call him Johnny Bravo. That shows just where my head's at. Mike Bravo will be on. If he's not on this morning, he'll be watching later. Mike, they're gunning for you. Trivia night is tomorrow. There's a new category. We like to add the new categories. This one is sound only. Can you identify different cyber things, cyber movies, cyber tones? One of them, I'm going to give you a hint. Do you know your postcodes? Do you remember postcodes? That's from the way back. Paul is saying, got chocolate and hot chocolate. Yeah, chocolate's good. I know you're a fan of the hot chocolate, but not hot chocolate milk. So illy coffee. Illy coffee's, we're gunning for illy coffee too. Do we stay with illy? I do know that the Black Rifle folks make a pretty good cup of coffee. Illy's a pretty dang good cup of coffee. That's hard to beat. So we do have a ton going on. let's roll the intro. I'll get everything set up. We'll jump into the news. You tell me what you think. Before I take an alibi there. Yesterday, you know I have this relationship with Restream. Restream gives me the ability, of course, to go out to Twitch and Facebook and YouTube and a bunch of other places I wanted to, all at the same time. And yesterday I was frustrated with Restream because I wasn't getting chats. When I was looking at my chat window, what I was getting up there, I saw about 4 things. When I closed the stream down, I was able to see like 24 comments that didn't come through. So I talked to the Restream folks. There's a workaround. They blame it on the API from the folks like Facebook because they keep changing the API or the application programming interface. Whatever. They've got if you launch not only Restream, but you also launch their chat client, it seems to work. It seems to send everything through. So I've got to have Restream, I've got to have their chat client, and then I've got to have Ecamm Live. A bunch of stuff, a bunch of problems you guys don't need to know about. Just so you know, I am seeing your comments now. D-Nice, good morning. A lot you've got. I owe you a due out, and I was going to record it this morning, but I just got done. And that is the differences and the similarities between FIPS 200 and NIST 853, revision 4, essentially revision 5 too, but we're talking revision 4. D-Nice, that I promise you I will record that today, probably be edited tomorrow. Might have to edit it myself. I know Jimmy's got a lot of stuff going on, but we'll get that out. I've got the deck done. I've got your stuff done. I know it's, you put a question in, you put a request in for some training, for some clarification on something, and it takes a while to get there, and I apologize for that. It's just, like Alex didn't tell me, that day job is killing me, Yeah, all about API. Everything's APIs, man. The connectors, the connectors, and those are a critical point in your security program too. Is securing the API. The API has to be secured as well. The application programming interface. That's the linkage between everything. That's the glue that's holding the world together nowadays. Yeah, revision 5. Revision 5 was going to be released last year, and then it was going to be released in December last year. Then it was going to be released in the spring of this year. I don't know. I actually there's 2 questions I sent Dr. Ron Ross at NIST. He's a fellow at NIST. I think he's retired, but he's still a fellow there, and he's still running the RMF program, essentially. One is, when will Rev 5 be released? The other one, if you read 837 Revision 2, and I know for the security folks we're getting a lot into risk management here, but if you read NIST 837 Revision 2, you'll see in there that they have a lot of references to 853 Bravo. And we all know, and that's not Mike Bravo or Johnny Bravo, but it's 853 Bravo. We know 853 Alpha is the assessment document that goes with the control catalog. So 53 is the control catalog, 53 Alpha is how you assess those controls, and 53 Bravo is supposed to be how you create baselines or overlays, and what baselines or overlays are out there today. And I asked and it's really, I guess I don't have any clout with Dr. Ross, with Ron Ross, but he has not answered me. I sent it on Twitch. I sent him an email. Deaf ears. So he's probably got a lot going on. Doesn't have time to listen to me, I guess. But I do want to know when those are coming out, because those are great questions. And I know NIST is doing great work. I know they've got a lot going on. And they publish not only 53 and 37 and 171 and all the supporting documents, 39 and 30, and all the documents that support the RMF. But people have been waiting. People are wondering, when is Rev 5 coming out? That's been looming for a while, and it's got a ton of potential impacts to people. There's a lot of impacts. The other thing is, when will this Bravo be released? Because the Bravo manual is referenced already, and it's weird to me that they referenced it in an existing document, but it's not published. I can see later updating 37 revision 2 to another edition and then referencing Bravo when it's out, but it's weird to me that it was referenced before it was ever published. And I guess that's probably because, like everyone else, like me and my publishing schedule, and I know Alex, you'll beat me up for my publishing schedule, but they just didn't get to it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than you think. I appreciate that, D-Nice. It is coming, though. I've got it out. It's a good point to understand what the difference between the two documents is, besides one being FIPS and one being special publication. In the title alone, they carry different levels of weight. A FIPS, or a Federal Information Processing Standard, carries a whole lot more weight than a special publication because the way it's tied to law, especially in this one, FISMA. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Quit the day job. I keep trying to win the lottery. So, that being said, let's roll the intro. Let me move my stuff around. That's the big reason I rolled the intro, so I can move my screens around and get ready for the news. All right. Yeah, I know. My day job. Well, in a way, it actually is helping, because the stuff I'm going through in my day job, man, it is so much advanced technology, so much stuff that is the next wave, and it does help. It does actually help this. It does take a lot of time. So, first up on the list, and normally I don't put a lot of WordPress stuff here, but I started thinking, a lot of IT folks, a lot of security folks help their friends by helping them put together websites. And a lot of times when we're doing it, if we're not going to go in and code it, we're not going to, build a straight HTML page. We're going to use a plugin like a content management system, and WordPress is one of the ones. It's one of the big ones. Say what you will about WordPress. I know a lot of people hate it because of the security concerns, and that's valid. That is a valid concern, but we always have this balance between security and usability, and that's the same thing we're talking about here. There's other ones, Joomla, there's Drupal, there's all sorts of other content management systems, but face it, WordPress is the Microsoft of the CMS. It's the one most people have. It's the one that has the most plugins. It's the one that's the easiest to use, both to set up and to maintain over time. So it really is. It's the one, as security professionals, as people that will be taking care of our friends, our families, and our coworkers, we may be drawn in to help people build a website. And we may use something like WordPress. And if you don't, I guarantee some of your friends have a site that's hosted on a WordPress platform, a CMS platform. And content management platforms are awesome because they allow you to do things like give your friend the ability to create posts and create stories and create content without messing with the structure. And that's different than the old school web design. Back in the old school days, you would have had to either give them full access to the code, the HTML, and they would update it there, or they would give you stories and pictures and you would have to update it, which is terribly onerous on the person that's trying to help someone out, especially when you're doing it kind of as a favor to a friend or a family member. So WordPress has its place. So let me start with that. And those, again, I know there's a lot of people thinking about putting their own shingle up, making their own business. A personal friend of mine, I was talking to him about his business. He was paying, or he still is paying, over $400 each and every month for someone to host his static WordPress site. And when I say that, that's exactly it. They built it one time. It's WordPress. It's out there running, and he's paying $400 each and every month to run this thing. So they're still. I used to say there's not a lot of money in website development anymore, but there's a ton of money still left on the table if you're building websites. So as you're thinking about building, your own enterprise in technology, you might want to go that direction. But remember, their security is always involved. Every time you go to a WordPress site, you should be checking those plugins. Make sure they're updated. And that's our first story. Our first story actually ties around a critical WordPress plugin that lets hackers take over your hosting account. And really, it's tied to this WP Discuss. It's spelled WPDISCUZ. And there's a vulnerability, and there's about 70,000 WordPress sites that have this plugin put in place. And it's just, it's one of the plugins that allows you to kind of monitor what's going on your page. It allows, I think, it lets you to do comments and provide real-time interaction with your users, that kind of thing. It's an AJAX real-time comment system that will store comments within the local database. Paul's saying Wix. Yeah, Wix is kind of, you're going to pay a lot of money. Wait, you're not going to pay $400 a month for Wix, but you're going to have to build it yourself. Wix is kind of like a scaled down, a penned off version of WordPress. Personally, I'd rather, if I was going to do it, I would pay like if you're just having a static page, you can get like that $10 hosting account, throw WordPress on it, make sure you keep it secure, make sure you follow security practices, update your plugins regularly, and you're paying like $10 a month for hosting instead of $400. That's just me, obviously. So what happens is there's the ability to load arbitrary files and allow the arbitrary files to take over your site. So this plugin allows a user to post an image, but they didn't do very good user input validation or sterilization. So researchers have found that it's able to upload a PHP file. And the PHP file can allow the option to include MIME types of files, or create other types of permissions to let other files in. And then you can easily trigger a file and achieve remote code execution, RCE. So of the 70,000, 45,000, over half are still vulnerable to this thing. It had only 25,000 updates last week, which includes new installs. So it's not all updates that are being made on this thing. So if you know folks that are running a website, if they're running their own, if maybe you're helping them with it, just make sure the big story is update your plugins. Just about every time you log into that console for your WordPress web page, check the plugins. You're probably going to, you can probably log on every day, and every day you're going to log on, you're going to see, depending on how many plugins you have loaded, you're going to see plugins that need to be updated. And a lot of times they're tied to a security vulnerability, because just about anybody can write a plugin and make it available for WordPress. And that obviously means a lot of people that don't know how to code can create plugins and add them to WordPress, and then field it, then fix it, right? Get the bad content out there, and then figure out what you got to do to fix it. So be careful of what plugins you add to start with. Add the good plugins. Make sure you're updating them. If I'm doing this on pages that I help people with, always look for those plugins that are built by a company, not a person, and make sure they have a good number of downloads. Look, 10,000, 20,000 downloads. That means they've got a decent customer base. That means they're probably going to be on top of patching their system. All these are kind of rules of thumbs. They're not hard and fast rules or laws, because it's up to the plugin maker to keep that thing updated. I feel like they just keep falling in the air or something. Big thing about this plugin vulnerability, this WordPress WP Discuss criticality is 10 of 10 on your CVE scoring. So definitely a bad bug on WordPress. The bigger story is just keep WordPress, like everything else. Keep WordPress updated, patched. End user, the users, your you're supporting, make sure that they know what's going on as well. This is for Ralph. This is your story. You kind of prompted us to start looking at this yesterday. Yesterday, really, there wasn't a lot that we knew about this Garmin attack. We knew that it was ransomware, but we didn't know much about it. But now we know who's behind it. Our friends Evil Corp are behind the attack. They figured that out. And based on the TTPs of Evil Corp and the tools that they, well, I guess that's TTPs, the tools they use, it's fairly safe to say that data was not taken from Garmin. One of the traits of Evil Corp is they do encryption. They don't do data theft. The article that you get down below from ZDNet talks more about the way that Evil Corp operates. They are going to steal data. And the data they steal is they're going to try to get that Active Directory database so they can get the hashes and try to break files, break passwords so they can move laterally across the environment so they can essentially encrypt more of the network. They're going to steal information that's going to allow them to move around the network. They're not going after personal information because that's not the way Evil Corp operates. The malware that has been used, according to Fox IT, Malwarebytes, Sentinel-1, and Symantec, Evil Corp used to use BitPaymer, but they've got rid of that because it's become possible to decrypt the files. Now they're going with Wasted Locker. Both of those types of ransomware are not built to harvest information first. So one thing we need to know is Evil Corp, as kind of the way they operate, they don't steal data. They just go for the encryption and the money, which the article doesn't say if Garmin paid money or not. I'm assuming they did, because most of this ransomware can't be decrypted. You need the attacker to give you the key to decrypt this stuff. So Evil Corp doesn't really go after data like folks like Maze. Obviously Maze and a lot of the other big folks, they steal the data first, then they encrypt your files, and if you don't pay, then they post your data on one of the sites that they host. So it's typically Evil Corp's not doing it. It looks like everything's back up to normal on the Garmin site. The article goes on to say that there may be a small amount of personal information because they are taking the Active Directory database, which obviously has some personal information. So again, it doesn't really say how the attack was perpetrated. I'm just making sure I didn't miss that. As far as I know, there's no indication of how the attack took place. I'm going to guess it was phishing, just because that is the normal way that this happens nowadays. Someone got phished, and then they moved laterally across the network and encrypted everything. A lot of things, I should say. I don't know if they encrypted everything, but it is the way of the world. We see more and more ransomware attacks. We see more and more attacks that go on this way. So hopefully your Garmin devices are up and running again. Hopefully they're working as they should. If you're on the defensive side of this, obviously have backups offline or in an area where the ransomware attacker can't get to them. I say offline, immutable backups that can't be changed by somebody getting on the network. So if they get on the network and they encrypt your backups, there's no sense in making backups if your primary protection is for ransomware. Obviously, backups are good for continuity of operations and recovery and all that stuff. That's a great reason to have those backups. But if you have backups to protect you against ransomware, if that's one of the risks you identified, make sure those backups are kept offline or in a different network or somewhere where the attacker can't get to them once they start moving laterally around. So yeah. So Evil Corp, know your attackers. Know who's out there. Know the threats. Especially if you're in the risk management side of the house. If you're in the risk management side of the house, you should know if I'm a target of someone like Evil Corp, I need to worry about ransomware. I don't need to worry so much about data exfiltration with the attack. I should obviously still worry about it, but that risk can go down. If, on the other hand, I'm a target of someone like Maze or Revel or AKO or CLOP, those guys are going to steal the data. And each of them has their own particular set of targets they go after. But the big thing to know, Evil Corp, unlike so many of the other ones, their goal is not to steal data except for stuff they're going to need to move laterally around the network. So again, end user training is a big one to protect yourself here. Defensive posturing, like defense in depth, diversity of defense, IDSs, IPSs, perimeter firewalls, that stuff is going to protect you, but as well as updates and patches and antivirus malware stuff. But if your end user clicks that link, it's kind of game over. They being the end user, can really blow past your defenses, and that's the way of the world. You got to train your users. You got to train your friends. You got to train your family. You got to train your coworkers. That's the way it is. The Senate is in the news. We talk about the stimulus bill going through the House. The GOP stimulus bill is moving forward too. I know there's always dissension between the GOP and the Democrats. I know that's always an issue we've got to deal with. But the Democrats have a bill. The GOP stimulus bill includes $53 million for the DHS CISA. You know my feelings on that name. But essentially, $53 million goes to defensive protections around our antivirus research for COVID-19. So they're dumping a lot more money into strengthening up the defenses around the research program. So the original bill, the CARES Act that was passed in March, gave $9.1 million to CISA to protect COVID research and amongst other things. This new bill, $1 trillion bill, we're spending a lot of money on this thing. The $1 trillion bill gives $53 million, quite a bit more money to CISA for protection. And we know why. In the last few months, just since we've been talking about these news articles on CAPTCHA Cyber, we've seen the Chinese go after COVID research. We've seen the Russians just this week or last week going after COVID research. There's a lot of people trying to get to the research, not just our research, but European research, English research, other places that are doing research. There's cyber criminals and nation states that are posturing to steal that information. So, in May, it was the FBI alert about the Chinese by the FBI. The UK and the US put out the warning about the Russian companies coming out, or the Russian groups coming after the COVID research. So I think maybe this thing is moving forward. Obviously, this article doesn't talk about the other things that were in the House bill. The House bill talked about creating a new czar of cyber. I don't see that in this one, but we'll see what happens when this thing goes forward. I haven't totally looked at the bill. Obviously, I don't know who has the time to sit down and read these bills. I don't even think the senators and the representatives sit down and read the bills fully, but need to harvest through this to see what all's in there. We do know $53 million going to CISA. That's good because it'll bolster this. Hopefully, I know out here in the DC area, there's probably a lot of people that are around me that work with CISA, and hopefully they're getting the money they need to put the protection in place, because we need to protect this type of information as well as everything else. Netflix is in the news, and it's not Netflix's fault. It really isn't. It's they become a target, and as we talked a couple weeks ago, a lot of these entertainment sites are becoming the target for attacks, and Netflix is not different than any of them. This new phishing attack is unique, though, in the way that it's using CAPTCHA. It's CAPTCHA, the verification codes. So this is your normal vanilla phishing attack, in the way that they're going after people. They're saying, hey, your payment failed. You need to go log back on and enter your payment details so that your Netflix account doesn't stop working, right? And normally these would be picked up by your malware protection. Normally a lot of these phishing attacks would be picked up by malware protection. But because this one is behind a CAPTCHA page, it's sneaking by a lot of the malware protection, because it's not that weird link. It's a CAPTCHA page that's coming across. And in addition, it gives a little more credibility to the Netflix billing page. It really does. If you get it, notice of verification of failure, notice of verification failure, and it's hiding behind the CAPTCHA challenge response test, so it kind of gets behind or by some of the malware protection, like I said. When you get to the site that it's gonna lead you to, a lot of the links just respin the same page. So if you try to click a link on the page, it's just going to reload the page. So it's essentially that link is leading to a hash sign that just reloads the page. But if you go in there to to update your payment information, it does take you to the page that looks like the Netflix page to update your payment information. And it's going to ask for your payment information, your card number, your expiration date, the CVV number, or your account number. It looks legitimate. And if you check the article out by Bleeping Computer, we see a lot of good stuff by them. If you check the article out in show notes by Bleeping Computer, you'll see that it looks, if you're looking at the site, if I'm, 80% of the users, I look at the site, I'm going to say, yeah, it looks like Netflix. Obviously, if you look at the menu bar, the address is wrong. It's not Netflix. It's way off. It's not even close. That should be the first indicator. So if you're helping with your friends, family, coworkers, that is the big thing. Let them know. Check the menu bar. If it doesn't say Netflix, it's wrong in this case. And that applies to, of course, everything. If it's a Microsoft reset and it doesn't say Microsoft, something's probably up. Make sure friends, family, coworkers, make sure they know about this scam going around, know that it's out there, know that it's just yet another method of phishing. This can be the example you use to show them this is a way they're trying to get, they being the attackers, are trying to get your information. Don't fall for it. Again, like yesterday, nobody's going to give you money for free. Nobody is going to say, if you give me $200, I'm going to give you $400 back. That just isn't going to happen. If somebody's sending you that on an email, someone's coming after your information, right? Then our last story up here is about our good friends at the Department of Defense trying to do the right thing. And if you check out, this is from FedScoop. Love or hate the DoD, man. I think this is I was in the DoD when they did Lean Six Sigma, and the DoD gets a hold of an idea, and they say this one idea, if it works good here, it must be good everywhere. And I know some of you guys know this. When Lean Six Sigma hit the DoD, when it hit the Army, they said, "Oh, Lean Six Sigma is awesome. It works good for manufacturing. It must be this silver bullet, right? This golden ticket. It's going to fix all our problems." So they tried to apply Lean Six Sigma to everything, and it works in some environments. It really does, and you can kind of force it to work in other environments. And then there's some environments it just doesn't work in. So you can't apply the same thing to work everywhere. And I think that's what we've got here. The DoD has stated they want to build out, they want to plan for the next 25 years of cybersecurity. I'm good with planning. I really am. I think it's great. Did I not? Oh man, hold on a second. I've got to find. Give me a second. And they're trying to plan, and there's some good parts in here too. There's some really good parts. They're saying, there's different phases of strategy: near term, midterm. So they're planning some of the stuff between 2020 and 2025. I'm good with that. That makes sense to me. And then they've got 2025 to 2030. It becomes a little sketchy, but you can have a strategy then. And then beyond 2030, I think, is when they start getting into trouble. And the one picture that I forgot to put in my deck was this one here. This was state-of-the-art computing. This thing, state-of-the-art computing 25 years ago. Think about Windows 95. This was your state-of-the-art computer. This was you were on the cutting edge if you had this thing here. And I can't even see that. I don't even think that one has a DVD drive in it. Still got the old 3.5 floppy. How do you plan that far out for cyber? How do you plan that far out for even for IT? I don't know. I know, I get it, DoD. 2020, 2025 makes sense. Even 2025 to 2030, I get. But 2030, 10 years from now, what's the technology going to be? And I can see some broad scale stuff, some big picture stuff you can look at. But they're putting RFIs out. They're going for consultants and contractors to come in and help them build this roadmap for the future. And I'm sure that it's going to be Lockheed Martin or GE or somebody's going to come in and help them build this roadmap. And I would have much rather seen them say, we're going 10 years in the future. 10 years is viable. 25 years, I don't know anything past 2030. I don't even know how you forecast that. I can see quantum computing. I can see, obviously, the expansion of Internet of Things, remotely piloted and autonomous vehicles, sure. Virtualized environments, augmented and virtual reality, sure. But I don't know what's the new thing in 2020 that you have to be, or 2030 that you have to be ready for. And maybe they know more than I do. Obviously, I'm sure they know a lot more than I do because they're the DoD. But I don't know, what are your thoughts? I mean, can you plan? And that's one of the things I kind of led off with this morning is, how far out do you plan? How far out can you think your cyber strategy? And I just think, I think spend a lot of money, a ton of money, maybe on 2020 to 2025. Spend a good deal of money on 25 to 2030. 2030 and beyond, I rough outlines, sketches of what you think is going to be out there. It's going to change. It's going to change. I mean, who in 1995 would have thought of ransomware or of smart homes? I mean, there was the thought of it, but nobody thought it would be that pervasive. Who would have thought, in 1995, that a normal house could have between 20 and 50 devices connected to the internet at one time? Who would have thought of, even Blockbuster going away and Netflix being the king? Obviously, the folks at Netflix. But, what are your thoughts on this DoD movement, this DoD push forward? I don't know. To me, it sounds like 10 years is good. 25 years is just a little bit crazy to try to figure this stuff out. So that was the last article. That was the last story I had to talk about today. Hopefully that covered what you guys need to know for the day. Today is International Tiger Day. There's a link to the wiki page about the International Tiger Day. Obviously, it's been around for a while. Sarah, hey Sarah, good to see you. Is it gonna come? There we go. Take a second to come through. Best laid plans pave the road to hell. You ain't kidding. And the problem I have, I guess the problem I have with building the strategy is I've seen some places in the DoD will get locked into this vision and they won't change. So the strategy comes out and some folks get so locked into it, even though technology changes, the environment changes, your threat landscape changes, they're so locked into the strategy they don't change. They keep moving down that path. And I think that's what you're saying, Sarah. It's best laid plans pave this road to hell, and we're off this direction, and the risks are over here. But back to International Tiger Day. This was set up for to raise awareness about tiger conservation. And it's funny, this was started in 2010 in St. Petersburg at the Tiger Summit. The stats I thought were incredible here was that they're tracking the population of tigers in India, because in India there's 75% of the tiger population. The big things here, 2006, the population in India was 1,411. It's pretty low. 2019, it's up to 2,967. So it's definitely increased. We almost right about doubled in that time period, 2006 to 2019. So conservation efforts are working. I was going to throw a picture of the Tiger King up here, do something like that, but I went with a more serious approach. I guess this is one thing we should worry about is, taking care of tigers and such in our environment. That's your rundown of your holiday for the day. I did want to share something. Do I have my overhead working? Let's see. No, there I am with the green screen back there. It means that the overhead camera is not on. There we go. We'll turn the overhead camera on. It'll take a second to come up. I'm changing the lens on this thing. If you guys know, it's been providing kind of a out of focus image, and that's because the focal length from here to here, the desktop, is too short for this lens to work. It's a longer lens, so hopefully by the end of the week we'll have the new lens in, and we'll be able to do better overheads than this one. We'll see and again, you know what I think about this mouse pad. I am a fan of the mouse pad. It is the thing, and what I want to talk to you about is these things, these Phillips Hue light bulbs. I can't get the focus right because it is so close to it. But we'll work with it today. We're building, as part of the program, we're building the smart devices into our network. And the reason I'm talking about smart devices is because, to me, they're an added layer of protection. They're an added protection for our environment. We can do things like turn lights on and off. We can have remote cameras. And they're also automation that helps make your life easier, right? So even with like Alexa, I shouldn't have said that because Alexa's probably going to listen over there. You can now set up a home protection system using your Alexa when you're out of the house and no one, that there should not be anyone in your house. You can set up this home guard. I forget what it's called. I think it's home guard or something like that. That allows Alexa to listen for sounds of someone moving around your house, and then it will notify you. Obviously, there's privacy concerns with Alexa. Those things, I'm not diminishing those thoughts, but these things are cool. These are Philips Hue lights. So if you don't want to change, you don't want to have your light, or you can't plug your light into an outlet, like a switched outlet, where you can put a controlled switch in. You can put these light bulbs in that are controlled by your smart home devices. Obviously, I'm not getting paid by Philips. Philips Hue's not giving me money. I had to buy these myself out of my own pocket, which is another issue with these things. But The new ones, the Bluetooth ones, and if you've seen the other video, these things have their own app. They're Bluetooth capable and they're Zigbee capable. And that Zigbee is important because we can now connect these without buying the Phillips Hub, another piece of network gear you'd have to have on your network. So the cool thing about these, and there's 2 in here I've got left. I've got a 4-pack of the white, and I've got this 2-pack of the color lights, and they're LED. So these things are supposed to last like 22 years at normal usage. And you can use them normally because you don't have to leave them on overnight if you don't want to. You can dim them to like 50% or 25% if you want. They're LED. The color ones are 3-color LEDs, which mean you can get any color just about you want out of these things. And then the white ones are just white, but they're dimmable, so you can dim them to whatever percentage you want. The difference is drastic, and these are going to hit your pocketbook up front. These 2 colored lights are about $90. That should kind of shock you. You can get 4 white lights for about $50. But they should last about 22 years, which is a good, if you average that out. And because they're LED, they run cool, they run less power. On the side of the box, they say if you run them for about 3 hours a day, it'll cost you about $1.14 over the year to run them. So one thing I did install one of these last night to make sure it worked right. I set it up with Alexa. God dang it, I gotta stop saying that. And it was so stinking easy. It's set up so easily. The white set up easily, the color set up easily. But I want to show you, this is how they're packaged. They're packaged pretty well, as you would expect a $90 light bulb to be packed. I guess just 40. It was only 45 for the 1 colored one. But in here, you look at it, and I've got a white one and a color bulb in here. There we go. And they look essentially the same. And because my camera is bad, you won't be able to see this, but on the white one, it says Phillips Hue white, and on the multicolor one it says Phillips Hue white and color. So this light here is roughly $11, $12. Dimmable, last about 22 years. Really a good light. The white ones, I say go with the white ones. The color one is a little different. I got the color one specifically for my front porch and the back porch because I can change the color of them. So I do like to, a lot of times I'll put it green out there to support military, or maybe on a holiday, my lovely bride would like to have that a different color, orange for Halloween, or green or something for Christmas, red for Christmas, something like that. And you can change it, you can dim it. It's got a bunch of colors. Works natively with Alexa and Google. You don't have to have the hub anymore. About $10 for the white one. Use these. I say you use these all over the place where you don't want to put a switched hub in. Any place where you want to have a dimmable light that you don't now. These colored ones are about 4 times the cost. So about $40 to $47 each for the colored ones. They are cool. For the cool factor, they're great. If you want to use them for ambience, something like that, they'd be awesome. But those are the two bulbs. I'll show you how to set them up, show you how they work, and build them into your smart home environment. I think they're cool. I do think, the other thing I think is cool, and I'm gonna always do this, is this thing. Look at my big mess out here right now. This mouse pad is still cool. I didn't put the link to this thing in today's notes. I did put the link for the Phillips Hue bulbs out there if you want to check them out, if you want to look at them. The price shocked me. It really did. The price shocked me. But I guess it's got a light bulb with LED, especially the multicolor. 3 LEDs in there. It's got the controller. It's got radios for Bluetooth, Zigbee radios in there. It's got all kinds of stuff in a light bulb. It's got all kinds of stuff. So tech in your light bulb, tech everywhere. And I know some of you are going to say, man, that's a lot of stuff to add to your home network. When you look at my home network, when you look at the network, when I draw it out, when we walk through the the development of my network from where it's at today to how we're going to secure it in the future, you're going to see exactly how much junk is on my network and why at times it runs slow and why we need to upgrade it. So if you're in a small office, home office, this is the situation you're faced with. A lot of devices connected to your network. If you're building a smart home, like we're building here, you're going to have a lot of stuff connected to your network, either directly or through a hub. And a lot of times those hubs talk on the same frequency as your 802.11 device, that 2.8 or 2.4 gigahertz range. It eludes me right now. 2 point something gigahertz, 2.4, 2.8, in that same range. So you're going to have to plan how it works. And you're going to have a lot of devices trying to get to the internet and cutting across your home network, or your office network. So it's good to know how to put these things in place, because we can't just lock our system down and not have the things that most people will have, because then we don't know how to deal with them. We don't know how to secure them. So we should build this in. And I'll walk you through from my first cable connection back in like 1995 to what I have today. 1995, I think it was about 95, maybe 98, somewhere in there. Roadrunner, when it first came out, Roadrunner cable connection and one computer. And I'm going to guarantee you that's not the same thing today. So anyways, I'm Jim. You know who I'm with. I'm with these guys over here, Cyber-Recon. If you could, hit that button right over there, right there somewhere, to subscribe. Hit the bell that shows up right next to it. You'll be notified when I go live. Check us out in the morning. Big changes coming for the channel next week. Alex, we're going to republish the schedule. We're going to stick to it because we were a little aggressive last time. We couldn't stay on it. But we got to get a lot of stuff out. We've been falling down, and we're going to get the other two shows up and running. If you've been around a while, you know here, the other, where are they at? The other two shows, the other two shows here, we have our weekday Cup of Cyber, but we also had Get Into It, and we had Cyber Insider, which it's hard to do when you're backwards and almost upside down. We're not doing those anymore, but we're getting those back going. So instead of being pre-recorded like they were before, they're going to be live shows just like this. Get Into It is the show that will help people that are new to IT get into IT. And that's why we call it Get Into It. Get into IT. We're going to walk through the basics of computing, the basics of IT. And it's those things that lead to the IT Plus certification from CAPTCHA. The other one, Cyber Insider, we're going to walk through live kind of sessions on where we're at in RMF, where we're at in Security Plus, where we're at in Cloud Plus. In like an hour and a half, we'll sit down and we'll talk about those things, those topics that we've been talking about that week in those areas. It's live, looking for your interaction. In both of those shows, we'll have Mako and Emily here because they're newish to this, and they have questions that I don't think about. They think about things differently because they're newer to the environment. So they'll ask questions that I don't think about at all. So I would look for you guys to help me out. If you have people that are trying to get into security, if you have people that don't know IT and they want to learn IT, like what is a CPU or what is RAM or what is volatile versus non-volatile storage, we're going to walk through those. One of the reasons I got this big, huge honking mouse pad is so we can put stuff up here. We'll get the new lens in and we'll be able to walk through looking at a CPU on a normal computer, a CPU on a Raspberry Pi, a CPU on a gaming system. We'll look at different types of technology so your folks can get up to speed on that kind of stuff. So hopefully, if you have folks that maybe they're not good for the Cup of Cyber because they're not security people and they won't know some of the stuff you guys know, but they want to get into it, they want to get into the IT field, or they want to get into the security field, those two shows are more geared for that. They're geared for that. And the whole Cyber Insider, you guys probably would like, because it's going to be talking about the topics of the week around Security Plus, Cloud Plus, CCSP, those whatever topics we're talking about, whatever videos are going out that week, that's the topics we'll talk about. It'll be a round robin, potpourri of sort of those topics. So hopefully it's going to help. As Alex, you know this, Paul, you know this, and I think, D-Nice and some of the other folks out there, my only goal is to try to transfer as much information as I can to the next folks, to the folks coming up. This stuff didn't used to be gray, but it's gray now. So I know that at some point I'm going to have to retire and go just live the easy life. So I got to get information that I know, or even that you guys know, transferred to the young folks coming up, or the younger folks even coming up. So I look for your help moving these things forward. As always, it's great to see you guys in the morning. I know it's hard to get up. It's hard for me to get up. A lot of times I would just like to sleep in. And you guys actually get me motivated to get up in the morning, to get ready, to get the stories together, to get the little graphics together. I know it's not Stephen Colbert, or it's not, the Daily Show or something like that. It's not the news. It's us sitting down talking about the cyber events of the day, and in a way that we would as if we were sitting over a cup of coffee. I hope that's how you're getting it, because that's the way it's intended. Is your input is important. It's sharing your input, just like Ralph did yesterday. And Ralph, I need you to IM me or something so I can get your address so I can send you cool stuff, because let's see how you do on trivia night tomorrow. Let's see if you can keep it up. Hopefully Mike Bravo can be there. Don't forget that. Don't forget. It is trivia night coming up. But I've rambled long enough. It's 8:27. We've almost made it. Full hour around the clock. You guys are important to me. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you're doing what you need to do. Take care of your friends, your families, your coworkers. That's the folks that really need the help. They need the help. They need the advice. They need the experience you guys have. Spread the word. Spread the word on security, because it's just getting harder and harder. We've got adversaries that are going after us, our infrastructure, and our people. So we got to protect them. So I know a lot of you guys are going off to your day jobs where you're going to do the same thing. Carry it forward. Keep yourself motivated. Mike's not here. I guess that guy's been working too. He's going to say, go get some. I'm going to say, take care of yourself. Be careful. We'll see you tomorrow right here, same spot, same place, 7:30 Eastern a.m. And if you're watching this later in the day, hey, thanks for watching, but you don't get to comment if you're watching later. You can only comment below. But I would like you to comment below and hit the like button, because it helps the logarithm. And until tomorrow, be safe out there.